How to increase your testosterone levels. Naturally, Derek from MPMD Introduction. What if I told you that many men spending hundreds of dollars on testosterone boosters are completely ignoring the factors that have the biggest impact on testosterone production? Even more surprising, some of the habits that modern society considers normal, sleeping less, sitting more, staying indoors, eating ultra-processed foods, and living under constant stress may be quietly lowering testosterone year after year. And here's the problem. Low testosterone isn't just about muscle growth or libido. Testosterone influences energy, motivation, mental clarity, recovery, body composition, insulin sensitivity, bone density, cardiovascular health, and even long-term healthy aging. When testosterone levels begin to decline, many men notice symptoms that seem unrelated at first. They feel tired despite getting enough sleep. They struggle to build muscle despite training hard. Body fat starts accumulating around the waist. Motivation decreases. Confidence drops. Focus becomes more difficult. The common assumption is that this is simply part of getting older. But that's not always true. In many cases, age is only part of the story. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Testosterone production is highly dependent on the health of multiple systems working together. Your brain must send the proper signals. Your testes must respond efficiently. Your liver must metabolize hormones correctly. Your body fat levels influence hormone conversion. Your sleep regulates hormonal release. Your nutritional status provides the raw materials needed for hormone production. Think of testosterone production like a factory. Most people focus only on the factory's final product. But if the power supply is failing, the workers are exhausted, the raw materials are missing, and transportation routes are blocked, production will naturally fall. The same thing happens inside the body. The good news is that many of these factors are within your control. Today, we're going to break down the science-backed strategies that can help optimize testosterone naturally. We'll look at the biggest mistakes that suppress testosterone, the lifestyle factors that matter most, the nutrients your body depends on, and the practical daily habits that support healthy hormone production over the long term. And some of the most effective interventions may be far simpler than you think. If you're interested in improving your energy, strength, body composition, and overall health naturally, stay with me because by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly where testosterone comes from, what causes it to decline, and what you can do starting today to support your body's own production mechanisms. Let's start with what may be the most underestimated testosterone booster available, and it's completely free. Sleep. Most people think testosterone is produced evenly throughout the day, but that's not how human physiology works. A significant portion of testosterone production is linked to the sleep cycle. During deep sleep and REM sleep, the brain communicates with the testes through a hormonal signaling pathway known as the hypothalamic pituitary gonadal axis. This is essentially the command center responsible for testosterone production. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine your body is a company. The testes are the factory that manufactures testosterone. The brain is corporate headquarters. Every night, headquarters sends instructions to the factory telling it how much production is needed. But if the communication network is interrupted because you're sleeping only 5 or 6 hours, those instructions become weaker and less consistent. As a result, production falls. What the research shows is that even short periods of sleep restriction can lead to meaningful reductions in testosterone levels. Researchers have repeatedly observed that men who consistently sleep fewer hours tend to show lower testosterone concentrations compared to those getting adequate sleep, and the effects go beyond hormones. Poor sleep increases hunger hormones, reduces insulin sensitivity, elevates cortisol, increases cravings, and makes fat loss more difficult. Remember, excess body fat can further suppress testosterone, creating a vicious cycle. Here's what's really going on inside your body. When sleep quality declines, testosterone decreases while stress hormones often rise. Recovery suffers, training performance drops, energy decreases. Over time, this combination can make it much harder to maintain healthy hormone levels. So what should you do? Aim for 7.5 to 9 hours of sleep per night. Keep a consistent sleep schedule even on weekends. Reduce bright light exposure 1 to 2 hours before bed. Keep your bedroom cool, dark, and quiet. Limit alcohol close to bedtime because it disrupts sleep architecture. Get morning sunlight exposure within the first hour after waking whenever possible. This helps regulate your circadian rhythm and improves nighttime sleep quality. If this is helpful so far, consider subscribing because I post evidence-based content designed to help you optimize your health naturally without relying on quick fixes. Because before we talk about supplements, workouts, or advanced hormone strategies, we need to build the foundation. And for testosterone production, that foundation starts with sleep. One of the biggest misconceptions about testosterone is that low testosterone causes weight gain, and that's the end of the story. The reality is far more interesting. While low testosterone can certainly make it easier to gain fat, excess body fat can also lower testosterone. In other words, the relationship works in both directions. This creates a vicious cycle that many men get trapped in for years without realizing it. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Body fat is not just stored energy sitting under your skin. It's metabolically active tissue that constantly produces hormones, inflammatory compounds, and signaling molecules. One of the key players is an enzyme called aromatase. Think of aromatase as a chemical conversion machine. Its job is to convert testosterone into estrogen. This is a completely normal process that occurs in both men and women. The problem arises when body fat levels become excessive, particularly around the abdomen. The more fat tissue you carry, the more aromatase activity you typically have. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine you're trying to fill a bathtub with water. Testosterone is the water coming from the faucet. Aromatase is the drain. As body fat increases, the drain becomes larger. Even if your body is producing testosterone, more of it may be converted into estrogen, making it harder to maintain optimal levels. But that's only part of the problem. Excess body fat is also strongly associated with insulin resistance, chronic inflammation, poor sleep quality, and elevated cortisol levels. Each of these factors can interfere with healthy testosterone production. This is why many men focus on testosterone optimization while completely overlooking metabolic health. The truth is that improving metabolic health often improves hormonal health at the same time. What the research consistently shows is that weight loss, especially the reduction of visceral fat surrounding internal organs, is frequently associated with significant improvements in testosterone levels. So what's the practical strategy? Focus on reducing body fat gradually and sustainably. Prioritize whole, minimally processed foods. Build meals around high-quality protein sources. Reduce liquid calories and sugar-sweetened beverages. Strength train consistently. Increase daily movement outside the gym by walking more throughout the day. And perhaps most importantly, avoid crash diets. Extremely aggressive calorie restriction can temporarily reduce testosterone because the body perceives severe energy shortages as a threat to survival. The goal isn't starvation. The goal is creating a sustainable environment where body fat gradually decreases while muscle mass is preserved. When that happens, insulin sensitivity improves, inflammation decreases, hormonal signaling becomes more efficient, and your body is often able to restore a healthier hormonal balance naturally. And that's exactly why body composition is one of the most powerful levers you can pull when it comes to long-term testosterone optimization. If sleep is the foundation and body composition is the engine, then resistance training is one of the strongest signals you can send your body to maintain healthy testosterone production. But here's where many people get confused. Not all exercise affects hormones the same way. Some forms of training help create an environment that supports testosterone. Others, when performed excessively, can actually work against recovery and hormonal balance. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Your body is constantly asking a simple question. Do I need to become stronger and more resilient for the demands being placed upon me? When you perform challenging resistance training, especially compound movements that recruit large amounts of muscle mass, your body receives a signal that strength, muscle, and recovery are important. Squats, deadlifts, rows, pull-ups, bench presses, overhead presses. These movements involve multiple joints and large muscle groups, creating a much greater adaptive response than isolated exercises alone. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of your body as a city managing resources. If only one small neighborhood needs electricity, the city allocates minimal power. But if the entire city suddenly requires energy, infrastructure expands to meet demand. Compound training works similarly. By recruiting more muscle tissue, you create a larger physiological demand that encourages adaptation throughout the body. Now, here's an important distinction. Many people believe they need marathon workouts to maximize testosterone. In reality, more is not always better. Derek from More Plates. More Dates has often emphasized the importance of balancing stimulus and recovery. Training hard is productive. Training hard without adequate recovery is not. Excessive training volume combined with poor sleep, calorie restriction, and chronic stress can elevate cortisol and impair recovery. This is where many highly motivated individuals accidentally sabotage their progress. They're doing everything harder instead of doing everything smarter. A practical approach is to strength train 3 to 5 times per week, prioritize progressive overload, and focus on improving performance over time. Try to become slightly stronger. Add a repetition. Increase weight gradually. Improve technique. These small improvements compound over months and years. Outside the gym, daily movement matters too. Walking improves insulin sensitivity, supports recovery, reduces stress, and helps manage body fat, all factors that indirectly support testosterone production. If this is helpful so far, consider subscribing. Every day I break down the science of metabolism, hormones, nutrition, and longevity into practical strategies you can actually use. Because the goal isn't simply exercising more, the goal is creating a biological environment where your body has every reason to maintain strength, muscle, vitality, and healthy testosterone levels for the long term. Now, let's talk about something that often gets oversimplified in the testosterone conversation: nutrition. Many people are looking for a single superfood or miracle supplement that will dramatically increase testosterone overnight, but hormones don't work that way. Testosterone production depends on having the right raw materials available consistently. If those materials are missing, your body cannot operate at full capacity no matter how hard you train or how many supplements you buy. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Testosterone is a steroid hormone, and all steroid hormones begin with cholesterol. This doesn't mean you should start eating unlimited junk food or assume more cholesterol automatically means more testosterone. What it does mean is that your body requires adequate dietary energy and nutrients to manufacture hormones efficiently. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine you're building a house. You can have the best construction workers in the world, but if there are no bricks, lumber, wiring, or concrete arriving at the job site, construction slows down. The same principle applies to hormone production. Your body needs protein for tissue repair and recovery. It needs healthy fats to support cellular function and hormone synthesis. And it needs key micronutrients that act like specialized tools inside the construction process. One of the most important is vitamin D. Vitamin D functions more like a hormone than a traditional vitamin and plays a role in numerous biological systems, including testosterone regulation. Unfortunately, many adults spend most of their day indoors and may have suboptimal vitamin D status. Then there's zinc. Zinc is involved in hundreds of enzymatic reactions throughout the body and is particularly important for reproductive health and hormone production. Magnesium is another critical nutrient. It supports muscle recovery, sleep quality, insulin sensitivity, and many of the biochemical reactions involved in energy production. Protein deserves special attention as well. Many men underestimate how important adequate protein intake is for maintaining lean muscle mass. Since muscle mass and metabolic health are closely tied to hormonal health, protein becomes an indirect but powerful contributor to testosterone optimization. A practical strategy might include whole eggs, lean meats, fish and seafood, Greek yogurt, high-quality dairy if tolerated, nuts and seeds, avocados, olive oil, vegetables, fruit, and minimally processed carbohydrate sources based on your activity level and metabolic goals. Just as important is avoiding chronic undereating. Many men spend months or years aggressively dieting, constantly restricting calories, and wondering why energy, recovery, libido, and performance are declining. Your body interprets prolonged energy shortages as a signal to conserve resources. And hormone production often becomes one of the systems that gets downregulated. The goal is not simply eating less. The goal is eating intelligently. When you consistently provide the body with adequate protein, essential fats, vitamins, minerals, and overall nutritional support, you create an environment where testosterone production can function much more efficiently. Because before hormones can be optimized, the body must first have the materials needed to build them. Most people think of stress as something that happens in the mind. But from a physiological perspective, stress is a full-body event. And if you're trying to optimize testosterone naturally, understanding stress may be one of the most important things you can do. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Whenever your brain perceives a threat, whether it's lack of sleep, financial pressure, relationship problems, overtraining, chronic dieting, illness, or constant mental overload, it activates the stress response system. One of the primary hormones released during this response is cortisol. Now, cortisol is not the enemy. In fact, cortisol is essential for survival. It helps regulate blood sugar, energy production, inflammation, and alertness. Without cortisol, you couldn't function. The problem occurs when cortisol remains elevated for weeks, months, or even years. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine your body is operating on a limited budget. When a major emergency occurs, resources are redirected toward immediate survival. Road repairs get delayed, new construction projects get postponed, long-term investments are put on hold. The same thing happens biologically. When the body perceives chronic stress, it prioritizes survival over optimization. And reproductive functions, including testosterone production, often move lower on the priority list. This is one reason why highly stressed individuals frequently report symptoms such as fatigue, reduced motivation, decreased libido, impaired recovery, and difficulty building muscle despite working hard. What the research shows is that chronic stress can disrupt hormonal signaling within the hypothalamic pituitary gonadal axis, the very system responsible for coordinating testosterone production. And here's where modern life becomes challenging. Many people are experiencing multiple stressors simultaneously: poor sleep, excessive screen time, work pressure, financial concerns, ultra-processed foods, lack of recovery, minimal sunlight exposure, constant stimulation. The body doesn't necessarily distinguish between these stressors. It simply responds to the total load. So what can you do? Start with the fundamentals. Prioritize sleep consistency. Get daily sunlight exposure. Strength train, but recover adequately. Walk regularly, especially after meals. Practice stress reduction habits that you can sustain long term. For some people, that's prayer. For others, meditation, breathwork, journaling, or spending time in nature. One simple strategy is a daily 10-minute walk without your phone. No notifications, no podcasts, no emails, just movement and mental decompression. Another powerful tool is controlling information overload. Your nervous system was not designed to absorb thousands of pieces of information every day. Reducing unnecessary stimulation often produces measurable improvements in perceived stress and recovery. If this is helpful so far, consider subscribing. Every day I share practical, science-based strategies to help you improve your metabolism, hormones, energy, and long-term health naturally. Because optimizing testosterone isn't only about adding things to your routine. Sometimes it's about removing the physiological stressors that are preventing your body from functioning the way it was designed to. Before we wrap up, let's address one of the most heavily marketed areas in men's health: supplements. Walk into any nutrition store or spend a few minutes online and you'll find countless products claiming to boost testosterone naturally. The problem is that most people are searching for a shortcut before they've addressed the fundamentals. And that's backwards. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Testosterone production is influenced far more by sleep quality, body composition, nutrition, training, stress management, and overall metabolic health than by any single supplement. Think of supplements like polishing the windows of a house. If the foundation is cracked, the roof is leaking, and the electrical system isn't working, clean windows won't solve the real problem. The same principle applies to testosterone optimization. Now, that doesn't mean all supplements are useless. Some can be helpful when deficiencies exist. Vitamin D is a perfect example. Many people spend most of their lives indoors under artificial lighting. Low vitamin D status is extremely common and has been associated with numerous health issues, including suboptimal hormonal function. Magnesium can be valuable for individuals with inadequate intake, poor sleep quality, or high stress levels. Zinc may also be beneficial when dietary intake is insufficient. But notice the pattern. These nutrients help correct deficiencies. They're not magic testosterone drugs. This is exactly the type of practical perspective that Derek from More Plates, More Dates often emphasizes. Focus on objective factors that actually move biological outcomes rather than chasing marketing promises. Now let's talk about alcohol. Many people underestimate its hormonal impact. Occasional moderate alcohol consumption is unlikely to destroy testosterone levels overnight. However, frequent heavy drinking can impair sleep quality, increase inflammation, negatively affect liver function, and interfere with hormone production. Remember, the liver plays a critical role in hormone metabolism. When liver health suffers, hormonal regulation often becomes less efficient. Sunlight is another overlooked factor. Regular outdoor exposure helps regulate circadian rhythms, supports vitamin D production, improves sleep quality, and positively influences overall metabolic health. This is why something as simple as a morning walk outside can produce benefits that extend far beyond calorie burning. If you wanted to build a simple testosterone-supporting lifestyle, it might look like this. Sleep 7.5 to 9 hours. Strength train consistently. Maintain a healthy body fat percentage. Eat sufficient protein and healthy fats. Get daily sunlight exposure. Manage stress effectively. Limit excessive alcohol. Correct nutrient deficiencies when necessary. None of these habits are glamorous, but together they create a biological environment where healthy testosterone production can thrive. And ultimately, that's where the biggest results come from, not hacks, but consistent alignment with human physiology. So let's bring everything together. If there's one message I want you to take away from this video, it's this: testosterone optimization is rarely about finding a miracle supplement. It's about removing the obstacles that prevent your body from producing testosterone efficiently in the first place. Throughout this video, we've looked at the major physiological systems that influence hormone production. We discussed how sleep acts as the foundation of testosterone production. We explored how excess body fat can increase aromatase activity, disrupt metabolic health, and contribute to lower testosterone levels. We examined why resistance training sends a powerful signal for strength, muscle preservation, and hormonal resilience. We covered the critical role of nutrition, including adequate protein, healthy fats, vitamin D, zinc, magnesium, and overall energy intake. We looked at the impact of chronic stress and how elevated cortisol can interfere with optimal hormonal signaling. And finally, we discuss the importance of lifestyle fundamentals such as sunlight exposure, recovery, alcohol moderation, and correcting nutritional deficiencies when appropriate. Notice something important. Every one of these factors affects much more than testosterone. They influence insulin sensitivity, energy production, body composition, brain function, cardiovascular health, recovery, and ultimately, healthy aging. That's why focusing solely on a testosterone number often misses the bigger picture. The real objective is building a healthier human being. When you improve sleep, reduce excess body fat, train intelligently, manage stress, and support your body with proper nutrition, testosterone often improves as part of a much larger transformation, and that's the approach that tends to produce sustainable results. Not for a few weeks, not for a few months, but for years. So here's my challenge to you. Don't try to implement everything at once. Pick one change, just one. Maybe it's going to bed 30 minutes earlier. Maybe it's starting a strength training program. Maybe it's taking a daily walk in the morning sunlight. Maybe it's replacing ultra-processed foods with whole food meals. Choose one action and commit to it consistently for the next 2 weeks. Then pay attention, track your energy, track your sleep, track your performance, track how your body responds, because your body is constantly giving you feedback. You simply need to start listening. If this video added value to your life, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Join a community of people who are committed to optimizing their metabolism, hormones, energy, and longevity naturally. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.